I used to believe love was like those home renovation shows, messy and chaotic at first, but destined for a beautiful reveal in the final act. That was before I found out my husband had been renovating our marriage into his own personal profit scheme. My name is Zariah, and 3 months ago I thought I was living my dream life. Harrison and I were celebrating the completion of our dream home renovation, a stunning colonial revival that we'd poured our hearts, souls, and my entire inheritance into transforming. "To us," Harrison had said that night, clinking his wineglass against mine as we sat on our new hardwood floors, surrounded by empty paint cans and the lingering scent of fresh varnish. To the next chapter. I remember how the sunset painted golden streaks across his face, how his smile seemed to hold all the promises we'd made since our wedding day 4 years ago. "I can't believe we actually did it," I said, leaning into his shoulder. "Aunt Luna would have loved to see this." "She'd be proud of how you handled her inheritance," he replied, squeezing my hand. "Speaking of which, did you transfer the final payment to the contractors?" I nodded. "All 7 figures, just like we discussed. The last wire went through yesterday." "Perfect timing." He kissed my forehead, but now, when I replay that moment, I catch the calculated precision in his gesture. The bank needed everything squared away before finalizing the loan restructure. "Still wish you'd let me put my name on the deed," I said, trying to keep my tone light. "It feels weird having poured my entire inheritance into a house that's technically just yours. It's just paperwork, baby. You know I had to keep it this way for the commercial loans." He stood up, stretching. "Besides, what's mine is yours, right?" Wrong. The next morning, I was humming in our brand new kitchen, making coffee in the fancy machine Harrison had insisted we needed, when he walked in wearing his business meeting suit, the one he only wore for closing major deals. "We need to talk," he said, placing a manila envelope on our quartz countertop. I remember how the coffee machine's steam hissed, filling the silence between us. "About what?" "I'm filing for divorce." The mug slipped from my hand, shattering against the Italian tile we'd spent weeks selecting together. "What?" "Harrison, if this is a joke—" "It's not." His voice was ice-cold, clinical. "My lawyer has prepared everything. You'll need to vacate the premises within 30 days. "Vacate the—" "Harrison, I put my entire inheritance into this house, over $1 million. He smiled then, and it wasn't the smile I'd fallen in love with. It was the smile of a predator who'd finally cornered its prey. "The house is in my name. The renovation contracts are in my name. You freely gave me the money. We have the wire transfers to prove it. Legally, you're walking away with what you came in with." "Which is?" "Your car and whatever personal items you can prove you purchased yourself." He straightened his tie. "I'm late for a meeting. Don't try to contact me. Direct all communication through Charlie, my lawyer." He left me standing there, coffee spreading across our perfect floors like a dark stain, my entire world crumbling around me. That evening, numb and shell-shocked, I sat in my best friend Jayla's apartment, staring at my phone as she paced furiously. "He played you," she fumed. "He played you from the start. All that renovation talk, getting you to invest everything." "I know," I whispered. "And you let him keep the house in his name. Girl, what were you thinking?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Unknown number, a text message with an image attached. My hand shook as I opened it. The photo was slightly blurry, but clear enough. Harrison at some upscale restaurant, his hand intimately covering someone else's. A woman with sleek blonde hair. The timestamp in the corner, 3 months into our renovation. "Who is she?" Jayla demanded, looking over my shoulder. "I don't know." But I was already scrolling through my mental Rolodex of every business meeting, every late night at the office, every networking event he'd attended without me. "But I'm going to find out." Another text came through. "Thought you should know. He's been planning this for a while. Check the permits filed under Elhart Industries." "Zariah," Jayla said softly, "what are you going to do?" I looked up at her, something cold and determined settling in my chest where my heart used to be. "I'm going to take back everything he stole from me, and then I'm going to burn his perfect little world to the ground." Moving from a custom-designed dream home to a one-bedroom apartment felt like being shoved back into a smaller, darker version of my life. The walls seemed to close in as I unpacked the few boxes Harrison's lawyer had generously allowed me to take. "Stop moping and look at this," Jayla said, barging in without knocking. She'd been doing that a lot lately, probably afraid I'd spend too much time alone with my thoughts. She slapped a stack of papers on my tiny kitchen counter. "What am I looking at?" "Bank statements. I pulled some strings at the firm." She pointed to a series of highlighted numbers. "These transfers don't make sense. The amounts are too neat, too regular. It's like someone was siphoning money," I finished, remembering Aunt Luna's voice in my head. I walked to my bedroom and pulled out her old leather journal from my emergency go-bag. "Your aunt's diary?" Jayla raised an eyebrow. "Listen to this entry from 2 years ago. Watched Harrison review the contractor bids today. The way he handles money reminds me of Robert. Always too smooth, too practiced. I pray I'm wrong about him, for Zariah's sake." I closed the journal. Robert was her ex-husband who tried to steal her business in the 90s? Smart woman, your aunt. A knock at the door interrupted us. My sister Simone stood there, looking perfectly put together as always. "Please, Zariah, honey." She hugged me tight, her expensive perfume almost suffocating. "I came as soon as I heard. What a nightmare." "Thanks for coming," I said, stepping back. Something felt off about her enthusiasm. "You know what you need to do?" Simone perched on my second-hand couch like it might bite her. "Just move on, start fresh. Maybe this is Karma's way of saying that money was never really meant for you anyway." I froze. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Well," she twisted her rings nervously, "you know Aunt Luna was different near the end, making strange decisions, changing her will so suddenly." "Simone," I cut her off, "if you're here to argue about the inheritance again—" No, I'm here to help." She stood up quickly. "I just think you should focus on healing instead of whatever this is." She gestured at the papers spread across my counter. Jayla, who'd been unusually quiet, suddenly spoke up. "Actually, we're meeting someone who might be able to help with whatever this is in about—" She checked her phone. "20 minutes. You're welcome to join us, Simone." My sister's smile tightened. "Rain check. I have a lunch date." She hugged me again, whispering, "Don't do anything rash, okay?" After she left, Jayla turned to me. "Something's not right with her. She's just being Simone," I sighed, always thinking she deserved Aunt Luna's money more than me. "No, it's something else. But never mind that now. We need to go meet Ishmael." Ishmael turned out to be a forensic accountant who worked out of a small office above a Vietnamese restaurant. His desk was a fortress of monitors and financial documents. "These are the renovation payment records?" he asked, scanning through files on his main screen. "Everything I could access," I confirmed. "Harrison kept most of the paperwork for tax purposes." Ishmael's fingers flew across his keyboard. "Interesting pattern here. 5 major wire transfers, each one coinciding with a renovation milestone. But look at the routing numbers." He pointed to a sequence of digits. "These aren't going to contractors. They're being routed through a series of shell companies before landing in offshore accounts." "Can you trace them?" Jayla asked. "Given time." He adjusted his glasses. "But what's more interesting is the timing. These transfers started exactly 2 weeks after you received your inheritance." My stomach churned. He was planning this from the beginning. "Most likely." Ishmael pulled up another screen. And there's something else. These accounts, they're linked to a company registered to someone named L. Hart. The mysterious text message flashed in my mind. L. Hart Industries. How much? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Based on these transactions? Ishmael looked up at me. Just over $500,000. The room spun slightly. I gripped the edge of his desk to steady myself. I need everything, I said. Every transaction, every paper trail, every connection you can find, whatever it costs. Ishmael nodded slowly. Give me 3 days. As Jayla and I left the office, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Check your email. You'll want to see who your husband had dinner with last night. I opened my email to find a photo attachment. The same blonde woman from the previous picture, now crystal clear, walking out of an upscale restaurant with Harrison. The caption read, Lucy Hart, Executive Assistant, Gibson Development. L. Hart. The pieces were starting to fall into place, and the picture they formed made my blood boil. I didn't plan to confront Harrison at his office, but when I saw him through the glass walls of Gibson Development, lounging at his desk like nothing had changed, something snapped inside me. Ma'am, you can't, his receptionist started, but I was already pushing through the door. $500,000, Harrison. My voice was steady, surprising even me. That's what you and Lucy were worth. He looked up slowly, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. I was wondering when you'd figure it out. Figure what out? That you've been stealing my money? That you've been sleeping with your assistant? Executive assistant, he corrected, standing up. And Lucy understands the value of strategic partnerships. Unlike you, who just handed over your inheritance like a child giving away candy. The door opened behind me. Lucy Hart herself walked in, freezing when she saw me. She was younger than I expected, probably fresh out of college when Harrison hired her. Oh, she said, clutching her tablet. Should I come back? No, stay. Harrison's smile turned cruel. Zariah was just leaving. Like hell I am. I turned to Lucy. Did he promise you everything? The house? The happy ending? Because that was my role 6 months ago. Lucy's perfectly maintained composure cracked slightly. I don't know what you're talking about. The prenup, I said, turning back to Harrison. I want it. He laughed. The one that was destroyed in that unfortunate pipe burst 2 years ago. Good luck finding it. A memory hit me like lightning. Aunt Luna's voice, stern and insistent. Always keep copies, Zariah, especially of things men tell you not to worry about. We'll see about that, I said, heading for the door. I stopped next to Lucy. When he's done with you, don't say nobody warned you. Back in my apartment, I dug through my boxes until I found Aunt Luna's old key ring. The storage unit key was still there, small and brass and potentially worth everything. You really think your aunt kept a copy? Jayla asked over the phone. She kept everything, said you never know when paper becomes power. I grabbed my car keys. Meet me there. The storage facility was on the outskirts of town, a maze of identical metal doors. Unit 247 looked exactly as it had the day we cleared out Luna's house, down to the heavy padlock. Jayla arrived as I was struggling with the key. Let me help before you break it. Inside, boxes lined the walls in perfect order, each labelled in Luna's precise handwriting. It took us 20 minutes to find the one marked LP Holdings, legal. Eek, here, Jayla said, pulling out a thick manila envelope. Holy shit, Zariah! Inside was our prenuptial agreement, perfectly preserved, with a post-it note in Luna's handwriting. If he ever tries to play you, Zariah, flip the board. This changes everything, Jayla whispered, scanning the document. The house, the investments, the renovation costs. It's all covered. He can't touch any of it without proving he didn't commit fraud. Underneath the prenup was a letter dated just weeks before Luna died. My dearest Zariah, I've watched Harrison these past months. The way he eyes your inheritance reminds me too much of men who see women as banks to rob. I pray I'm wrong, but if I'm right and you're reading this, remember, revenge is a dish best served with paperwork. All my love, Luna. We need to get this to a lawyer, Jayla said. Like yesterday. My phone buzzed, a text from Simone. Having coffee with Harrison. He's really upset about how things ended. Maybe you two should talk. Don't respond, Jayla warned, reading over my shoulder. Something's not right with her sudden interest in playing peacemaker. I know. I tucked the prenup and letter safely in my bag. But first, we need to make copies, lots of copies. As we left the storage unit, another text came through, this time from Harrison. Whatever you think you've found, it won't help. You're not smart enough for this game, baby. Never were. I showed Jayla the message. She snorted. Men really never learn, do they? No, I said, thinking of Luna's words. Flipped the board. But they're about to. We drove to Jayla's office to make copies, the prenup safe in my bag like a loaded gun. For the first time since Harrison served me divorce papers, I felt something other than pain. I felt dangerous. You know what this means? Jayla asked as we pulled into her office parking lot. We're going to war. I thought about Harrison's smirk, about Lucy's practiced innocence, about Simone's suspicious texts. No, I corrected her. We're going to win. I found the prenup, I told Simone over coffee at her favourite overpriced cafe. Her spoon clinked against her cup, a tiny sound that seemed to echo between us. You what? She blinked rapidly, her perfectly manicured hand frozen mid-stir. Where? Aunt Luna's storage unit. She kept a copy of everything. The storage unit? Simone's voice rose slightly. But isn't that breaking and entering? It's my storage unit now. Luna left it to me, remember? Right. She pulled out her phone, fingers moving quickly. Of course. Simone, I leaned forward. Who are you texting? No one. She shoved her phone into her purse. Just my reminder app. So, what are you planning to do with the prenup? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Harrison's lawyer, Charlie. Miss Pearson, his voice dripped with false concern. I understand you've been breaking into private property to obtain allegedly legal documents. I caught Simone's eye across the table. She looked away. The storage unit belongs to me, Charlie. Check the inheritance documents. Nevertheless, any documents you've acquired won't hold up in court, and Harrison is prepared to press charges for theft if necessary. I ended the call and stood up slowly. You told him? Zariah, please. Simone reached for my hand. Harrison's just trying to protect what's his. He told me about your emotional state lately. My emotional state? I yanked my hand away. He stole my inheritance. He said you gave it to him freely. She lowered her voice as other customers turned to stare. And maybe he deserved it more. What were you going to do with all that money anyway? Why are you on his side? Because he offered me a deal. The words burst out of her like she couldn't hold them anymore. 20% of the property value once it sells. He said I deserved something after Luna cut me out. The cafe seemed to spin around me. You sold me out for a commission? It's not like that. My phone buzzed again. A voicemail notification from an unknown number. I played it on speaker, Luna's voice filling the space between us. Zariah, if you're hearing this, I've passed on, and if Simone ever sides with him, know that she betrayed me too. The money she claims I stole from her? Ask her about the art gallery scheme. Ask her why I really changed my will. Simone's face went white. The cafe door burst open and Jayla stormed in, fury radiating off her like heat. You backstabbing little snake! Jayla, don't, I started. No, she needs to hear this. Jayla slammed her hands on our table. Harrison's been playing you, Simone. That 20%, it's coming from a property he's already underwater on. I just got the financial records from Ishmael. Simone's composure cracked. What? The house is mortgaged to hell. He's been using it as collateral for failed investments. Your cut would be worth pennies, if anything. He wouldn't. Simone's voice trembled. He promised, like he promised to love and cherish your sister? Jailer pulled out a chair. Start talking. What was Luna's voicemail about? Tears smeared Simone's expensive mascara. I convinced some investors to put money into a fake art gallery, used Luna's name to make it seem legitimate. When she found out, she cut you out, I finished, and now you're helping Harrison do the same thing to me. I'm sorry, she whispered. I was angry, jealous. He said all the right things. Save it. I stood up, gathering my things. You know what the difference is between you and me, Simone. I learned from Luna's lessons. You just proved why she taught them. Outside, Jailer grabbed my arm. What now? Now? I pulled out my phone and dialed Ishmael. Now we go nuclear. Harrison wants to play dirty. Fine. But he forgot one thing. What's that? I'm Luna Pearson's niece, and she taught me how to destroy men like him without ever raising my voice. As we walked away, I could see Simone through the cafe window, alone with her cold coffee and colder realizations. My phone buzzed with a text from Harrison. Your sister told me everything. You really think you can beat me at this game? I typed back, Game's just starting, Harrison. Hope you kept those receipts. Then I blocked his number and called my new lawyer. It was time to show Harrison exactly what kind of woman he'd underestimated. Oh, holy shit, Ishmael whispered, his eyes glued to his computer screen. This goes deeper than we thought. Jailer and I huddled around his desk as windows of financial data populated his monitors. The small office felt even more cramped with the tension building in the air. Talk to me, I said, gripping the back of his chair. Your husband's been busy. Ishmael pulled up a series of transactions. See these transfers? They're not just going to offshore accounts. He's been building a whole shadow operation through Lucy's shell company. How much are we talking about? Jailer asked. Including your renovation money? He clicked through several screens. Just over $2 million. There's a property in Belize, investment accounts in the Cayman Islands, and... He paused, frowning. Well, this is interesting. Well? Lucy's company has been receiving regular consulting fees since before you even got married. Harrison's been paying her for years. The revelation hit like a punch to the gut. So their relationship predates everything, Jailer finished. That son of a bitch. Ishmael turned to face us. We need to move carefully. These kinds of financial schemes usually have fail-safes. One wrong move and he could liquidate everything. So what do? We prepare the perfect trap. He pulled out a legal pad. First, we file paperwork to freeze assets, but we do it quietly through the international courts where his money is hidden. Then, we request forensic discovery and mediation. Won't he see that coming? Not if we time it right, Jailer grinned. The mediation request will look like a desperate move from a scorned wife. Meanwhile, the international courts will be closing in. My phone buzzed, an email from Harrison's assistant. My heart stopped when I saw the subject line, Property Sale Documents, Final Review. They're selling the house, I said, scanning the email. Closing date is next week, right before mediation. Perfect timing, Ishmael muttered. He's trying to convert the property to cash before proceedings start. Can we stop it? Better. Jailer pulled out her phone. We can use it. I know a reporter at the Business Journal who'd love to hear about a prominent developer's suspicious property dealings. No, I said, remembering Luna's words. Not yet. We need to be smarter than that. I turned to Ishmael. How long would it take to trace every renovation payment? I already have. He pulled up another screen, and I found something interesting. These reimbursement forms. the ones authorizing payments to Lucy's company. Your signature is on them. That's impossible. I never signed anything for Lucy's company. Exactly. He zoomed in on the digital signature. This is a forgery. A good one, but definitely fake. The metadata proves it was created using software registered to Gibson Development. Wire fraud, Jailer whispered. That's federal. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone. I'm calling my lawyer. We need to file an injunction on the house sale immediately. On what grounds? Financial interest in the renovations. The prenup proves I invested in good faith. That should buy us enough time. As I dialed, Ishmael and Jailer exchanged looks. What? I asked. Nothing, Jailer said. Just, you're different now. Calmer, more calculated. I learned from the best. I thought of Luna's journals, her careful documentation of every betrayal she'd ever faced. Harrison thinks he's playing chess, but he forgot to check who taught me the game. The call connected, and I outlined our strategy to my lawyer. By the time I hung up, Ishmael had compiled everything into a single encrypted file. One more thing, he said, pulling up a final document. I found this buried in the company records. Harrison took out a massive loan against the house 3 months ago. The money's gone, but the debt isn't. Where did it go? That's the best part, he smiled. It went to Lucy's company and then vanished. If I had to guess, he's planning to disappear after the sale closes. Not anymore. I stood up, a strange calm settling over me. File everything, start the freezes, but don't let him know we're coming. What are you going to do? Jailer asked. I thought about Harrison's smug face in mediation, imagining the moment he realized he'd lost everything. I'm going to let him think he's winning, right up until the moment he falls. As we left Ishmael's office, my phone buzzed with another email. The house sale documents, marked urgent. Harrison's signature was already there, waiting for mine. I smiled, thinking of Luna's words. The best revenge isn't served hot or cold. It's served with paperwork and patience. Soon, I whispered, declining the email. Very soon. The injunction landed on Harrison's desk like a bomb. I knew because Lucy called me, her voice shaking with barely controlled rage. What do you think you're doing? She demanded. The buyers are waiting. Tell Harrison if he wants to sell my investment, he needs my signature, for real this time, not the forged ones you've been using. Silence crackled over the line. I don't know what you're talking about. No. Maybe the FBI will help refresh your memory. She hung up. 10 minutes later, Harrison called. You're making a mistake, he said, his voice dangerously quiet. I was willing to be generous in mediation. Generous? I laughed. Like you were generous with my inheritance? I built that house into something spectacular. All you did was write checks. Funny you should mention checks. I glanced at Ishmael across my kitchen table, where he was tracking international account movements in real time. How's the Belize property doing? The sharp intake of breath on his end was worth every sleepless night I'd spent planning this. Who told you about? Does it matter? What matters is that in about... I checked my watch. 30 minutes. Courts in 3 countries will receive evidence of your offshore accounts. Unless... Unless what? His composure was cracking. Meet me at the house. 1 hour, come alone. I hung up before he could respond. Jailer, who'd been recording the call, stopped the recording. You really think he'll come? She asked. He'll come. His ego won't let him ignore the challenge. The house looked different as I pulled into the driveway, smaller somehow. Harrison's car was already there, and he stood on the porch like he owned it. Which, technically, he still did. For now. Where's Lucy? I asked, climbing the steps. Where's your lawyer? Fair enough. I unlocked the door with my old key. Shall we? Inside, the house smelled of fresh paint and broken promises. Harrison followed me to the kitchen, our kitchen, where he'd served me divorce papers just months ago. What do you want, Zariah? To understand, I leaned against the counter. Was any of it real? Us? This house? Or was I just a convenient bank account? Something flickered across his face. Regret, maybe, or just annoyance at being questioned. Does it matter now? It matters to the SEC. They're very interested in how you've been moving money through Lucy's company. He stepped closer, using his height to intimidate. You're bluffing. Am I? I pulled out my phone, showing him Ishmael's latest report. Your accounts in Belize are already frozen, Cayman Islands too. Lucy's company is being audited as we speak. You bitch, he whispered, but I heard the fear beneath the anger. Here's what's going to happen, I continued calmly. You're going to transfer the house back to me. Fair compensation for my stolen inheritance. In exchange, I won't send this evidence to the FBI. You expect me to believe you'd just let it go? No, I smiled, channeling Luna's steel. I expect you to realize it's your only option. My phone buzzed, a text from Jailer. FBI just got an anonymous tip about wire fraud. Oops. Oh, I said, showing him the message. Looks like someone beat me to it. Guess my offer expires now. The colour drained from his face. You can't prove anything. Those forged signatures say otherwise, not to mention the offshore accounts, the shell companies, the mysterious loans. I headed for the door. Better call your lawyer, Harrison. The good one, not Charlie. Wait, his voice cracked. What do you want? Really? I turned back, seeing him clearly for the first time. Not the powerful man I'd married, but a cornered fraud desperately trying to save himself. I want you to remember something, I said quietly. Every time you look in the mirror, every time you see another woman with money in her eyes, remember this moment. Remember how it feels to lose everything because you underestimated the wrong woman. I left him standing in our perfect kitchen, surrounded by the ruins of his schemes. Outside, Jailer waited in her car. How'd it go? Give it an hour, I said, sliding into the passenger seat. His lawyer will call with surrender terms. And if he doesn't? My phone buzzed again, an email from Ishmael. More accounts found, more evidence gathered. The net was closing. Then we do this the hard way. I thought of Luna's words in her final letter. Sometimes the best revenge is letting karma do its work while you watch from the front row. Either way, I said, mediation should be interesting. Jailer started the car, grinning. Front row seats to karma, wouldn't miss it for the world. The mediation room felt like a theatre before a performance. Harrison sat across the table with Charlie, both wearing identical smug expressions. Lucy hovered by the door like an anxious understudy, her designer outfit failing to hide her nervousness. Let's begin, the mediator said, shuffling her papers. Mr. Gibson's team has prepared an initial offer. Charlie slid a document across the table. Ms. Pearson can keep her vehicle and personal effects. In exchange, she drops all claims to the property and signs an NDA. My lawyer, Patricia, didn't even touch the paper. Is this a joke? We believe it's more than fair, Harrison said, straightening his tie. Considering the circumstances. My hands trembled slightly under the table, not from fear, from anticipation. I caught Jailer's eye where she sat in the corner, taking notes. She gave me the tiniest nod. Actually, Patricia said, opening her briefcase, we have a counteroffer. Counteroffer? Charlie laughed. There's nothing to counter. The house is in my client's name. Patricia pulled out a thick folder. Let's talk about names, shall we? Specifically, the names on these offshore accounts. The colour drained from Harrison's face. We have documented evidence of systematic fraud, Patricia continued, laying out papers like playing cards. Wire transfers to shell companies, forged signatures, hidden assets. Charlie grabbed the documents, flipping through them frantically. These are confidential business records. How did you get them legally? Patricia smiled. Amazing what a forensic accountant can find in public records. Speaking of public, She slid a newspaper across the table. This morning's business journal seems interested in your client's creative accounting. Harrison snatched the paper. There, in black and white, local developer under investigation for financial fraud. You promised, he started. I promised nothing, I cut in. You taught me that promises are just words, remember? Lucy stepped forward. This is ridiculous. You can't prove. Ms. Hart, Patricia interrupted, or should I say sole proprietor of L. Hart Industries. I'd advise you to stop talking and call your own lawyer. The FBI is particularly interested in your role in this. The mediator cleared her throat. Perhaps we should take a brief recess. No need, I said, pulling out one final document. The prenup Harrison claimed was destroyed. Aunt Luna kept a copy. Everything I invested in the house, it's protected. Everything he stole, it's documented. Charlie whispered urgently to Harrison, whose face had turned an interesting shade of grey. Here's my offer, I continued. Transfer the house to me. It's true owner by investment rights. Repay every dollar you stole. In exchange, I don't testify against you when the FBI comes calling. You wouldn't, Harrison whispered. Try me. The mediator reviewed the prenup carefully. This appears legally binding, combined with the evidence of financial misconduct. We need to consult, Charlie began. No, Harrison cut him off. His empire was crumbling and he knew it. What do I need to sign? Patricia produced the transfer documents. As Harrison scrawled his signature, Lucy burst into tears and ran from the room. One more thing, I said, standing up. That NDA you wanted me to sign? Here's my counteroffer. I dropped a USB drive on the table. Every email, every transfer, every forged document, it all goes public unless you disappear. Not just from my life, but from this city. Start fresh somewhere else, Harrison. Far away from me. He stared at the USB drive like it was a snake. You've changed. No. I gathered my things. I just stopped letting you make me small. Outside the mediation room, Jayla hugged me tight. That was beautiful, like watching a masterclass in karma. It's not over, I warned. The FBI investigation will handle itself, she finished. You did your part. Let the system do the rest. My phone buzzed, a text from Ishmael. Lucy's talking to the FBI. Harrison's accounts are frozen. It's done. Another message followed, this one from an unknown number. Aunt Luna would be proud. Simone. I deleted it without responding. Want to see your house? Jayla asked, dangling the keys she'd snagged from Patricia. Not yet. I watched through the window as Harrison slumped in his chair, Charlie frantically making calls. First, I want to watch him realize what it feels like to lose everything. Revenge served cold? No. I thought of Luna's journals, her careful documentation of every betrayal and victory. Revenge served exactly right. The mediator emerged, looking slightly shell-shocked. Miss Pearson, the papers are ready for final signatures. I took one last look at Harrison through the window. He'd taught me that love was a weakness to exploit. But Luna had taught me something better. Justice was a dish best served with receipts. Coming, I said, straightening my spine. Let's finish this. The empty house echoed with my footsteps as I walked through each room, running my fingers along the walls Harrison and I had picked colours for together. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through windows that had witnessed both love and betrayal. My phone buzzed. Another news alert about Harrison. The headlines kept coming. Developer faces federal charges. Executive assistant turns state's evidence. $1 million fraud scheme exposed. You're not keeping all this furniture, right? Jayla called from the living room. It screams compensating divorcee. Selling it, I replied. Every piece he bought with stolen money is going to charity. Speaking of money, she waved an envelope. Ishmael's final report. They found 3 more accounts in Luxembourg. The FBI's having a field day. Good. I opened the master bedroom door, remembering the morning Harrison served me divorce papers. The room felt different now, cleaner somehow. A knock at the front door made us both jump. Through the security camera feed on my phone, I saw Simone standing on the porch, clutching what looked like old photo albums. "Don't answer it," Jayla warned. But I was already heading downstairs. Some conversations needed to happen face to face. "Before you slam the door," Simone said quickly, "I found these in Mum's attic. They're Luna's old photos. Her notes are still inside." I took the albums but didn't invite her in. "Why are you here, Simone?" "Because I was wrong." Her voice cracked. "About everything. The art gallery scheme. Luna didn't just cut me off. She tried to help me first. I found the letters where she offered to pay for business school to teach me legitimate investing." She wiped her eyes. "I was too proud, too angry, just like with you." "And Harrison? Turned out that 20% he promised me, it was tied to one of his frozen accounts. I got played too." She laughed bitterly. "Karma's a poet, isn't it?" Before I could respond, my phone rang, the FBI agent handling Harrison's case. "Ms. Pearson, we found something interesting in Mr. Gibson's private server. Emails discussing similar schemes with other women, dating back years. Would you be willing to help us contact them?" I looked at Simone, still standing in the doorway with smeared mascara and years of regret in her eyes. "Actually, I know someone who might be perfect for that." After connecting Simone with the FBI, her first step toward redemption, I returned to exploring the house. In the kitchen, I found Luna's old recipe book, still sitting where I'd left it the day Harrison ended everything. Inside, tucked between recipes for pound cake and pot roast, was one final letter I'd never noticed. "Dearest Soraya, if you're reading this, you've either found your strength or lost your way. Either way, remember, houses are just walls and windows. Home is what you build inside yourself. And revenge? It's not about destroying someone else. It's about refusing to let them destroy you. All my love, Luna." "Hey," Jayla called from upstairs. "Come see this." I found her in the home office, pointing at Harrison's pretentious motivational poster about success. "Look behind it," she said. There, hidden by the frame, was a small safe. Inside, documents proving Harrison had planned similar schemes with 3 other women before me. Each time, he'd gotten smarter. Each time, until me. "Should we add these to the FBI's collection?" Jayla asked. "No." I closed the safe. "They have enough. This is just confirmation that I broke the pattern." My phone buzzed one last time, a text from Lucy. "I'm sorry for everything. You were right about him." I didn't respond. Some lessons people needed to learn on their own. "So," Jayla said, looking around, "what now? Sell the house? Burn it down?" "Neither." I walked to the windows and opened them wide, letting fresh air sweep through the room. "I'm going to make it mine. Really mine this time." "Fresh paint? New furniture?" "New everything." I smiled, thinking of Luna's letter. "Except the bones of the place. Those are solid." We spent the rest of the day opening windows, letting light into every dark corner Harrison had tried to claim. Each room felt lighter, as if the house itself was shedding his influence. That evening, sitting on the floor of what would become my new home office, I opened Luna's photo albums. Between pictures of family holidays and summer vacations, she'd written little notes, life lessons, warnings, celebrations. On the last page, under a photo of me at my law school graduation, she'd written, "Some women get broken by betrayal. The best ones get built by it." I touched the words gently, finally understanding. This house, this revenge, this whole journey, it wasn't about Harrison at all. It was about becoming someone who could never be betrayed again. Not because I stopped trusting, but because I finally trusted myself.